Hello Internet and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. My name's Jack Finch and today I'll be your host as we explore a strange historical timeline. Now here's a question on the tip of everyone's tongue. What if a Spartan...
Spartans! What is your profession?
fought a ninja? Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let us know what hypothetical historical battles you'd like to see in the future. Now, we've already covered a samurai fighting a Viking, but let's take things up a notch and compare two of the most infamous warriors in history for completely opposite reasons. The ninja, a covert agent of feudal Japan, focusing on espionage, sabotage and assassination that waged a regular warfare against the various powers and war leaders in the land of the rising sun. The Spartan, a warrior bred purely to orchestrate the art of war against the enemies of Sparta, ferocious, honourable and devastating on the battlefield. Who would win? Well, we've got an arsenal of information and a pretty overactive imagination. So, let's take a look. First, let's compare their origins. In the 15th century, ninjas emerged as mercenaries from all across Japan and referred to in historical texts as shinobi. They were primarily recruited as spies, arsonists, and even terrorists. As they evolved, the ninja organized themselves into families, and then later into larger guilds that each had their own territories. If you stepped on another ninja's turf, stuff was about to go down. Compared to their counterparts, the samurai, the ninja was seen as dishonorable and would commit acts that no one else would do. The ninja embraced this. It allowed them to be creative with their kill count, and they'd adopt tactics that would constantly give them the edge in battle. Now the Spartan story was completely different. By the age of 7, Spartan boys were taken from their mothers and sent to the nearest military boot camp. Here, the Spartan way of life was mercilessly drilled into them. Only the strong survived. Until the age of 20, they were physically tested on a daily basis, fighting each other with fists and eventually weaponry. They would eat, breathe and dream of war. Already, the Spartan has the edge over the ninja. Their livelihood made it that battle was the only thing they desired, and their code of honor was unmatchable. A Spartan would rather die than retreat. They called it dropping the shield, and it was the worst crime a Spartan could commit. Where the ninja, they're kind of renowned for running away when a fight doesn't quite go their way. But sometimes honor isn't everything. The ninjas' proficiency in stealth and espionage made it that they only ever picked a fight on their terms. Ninjas adopted disguises and camouflage, and they'd only reveal themselves if they were sure they had a kill. Most often, a fight with a ninja would be over before you even saw it coming. So, in that sense, yeah, a ninja would more than likely win. But that's no fun. The Spartan needs a fighting chance, because let's step into the armory and see what they've both got to stab each other with. Now, both the Spartan and the ninja wore pretty light armor. The ninja would sometimes wear chainmail with small armor plates, and Spartans would wear light tunics, which allowed them flexibility in battle for the right arm and shoulder. But we're forgetting to mention one thing, which is a pretty big deal: the Spartan shield. Spartans absolutely loved their shields, so much so that if a warrior lost a sword or a spear in battle, it was fine, no one really cared. But if you lost your shield, it was a sign of complete disgrace. Not only does it protect the user, it protected the whole Spartan formation. They either came back alive with their shield or dead, carried on it. Because of this, things are going to be pretty damn difficult for our friend the ninja. Unless they somehow find a way to penetrate past their defenses, this fight is going to be over pretty quickly. The Spartan's main weapon was the dory spear that worked perfectly alongside the Spartan shield. For long range, they carried a javelin, capable of killing an enemy at a range of 50 feet. For close range, the Spartans used a short iron sword called a kopis, capable of being thrust through the gaps in enemies' armor. Compared to the ninja, whose arsenal of weaponry is a far different story. Their main source of pointy things was the katana, which had several uses that stretched beyond normal combat. Every part of the ninja's kit was a multi-purpose tool. They used poison, explosives, even landmines, whatever it took to shift the favor towards the ninja. At range, ninjas had an array of darts, throwing stars, and knives, collectively known as shuriken. They were an important part of the ninja's arsenal and could mortally wound an enemy at a distance. They even had handheld explosives and grenades, which means the Spartan shield may quickly become pretty useless. And then we have hand-to-hand combat. Ninjas utilized a martial art commonly known as ninjutsu, which was part of a wider school of physical combat. Hand-to-hand, they were pretty deadly. But the Spartan also has a trick up their sleeve. They were brutally trained in the ancient martial art of pankration, a fighting style that consisted of boxing and grappling. Spartans were so good at pankration that when it was inducted into the Olympic Games, they weren't even allowed to compete. It was similar to a modern day UFC, and if the Spartan could get the ninja in a takedown and joint lock, this fight is over. Here's where we get to the knockout. Whichever way we spin it, this is going to be a pretty impressive fight. The Spartans' strength lies in their ability to wage war on the battlefield, where the ninja's strength lies in their ability to level the playing field and give the ninja the edge. 10 Spartans versus 10 ninjas, yeah, Spartans win. 100 versus 100, Spartans still win. 1,000 versus 1,000, yeah, Spartans. But 1 versus 1, the ninja has the fight. And it's down to one thing: technology. Over 1,000 years separate the Spartan and the ninja, and a lot more tools were freely available to the Japanese assassin. The ninja could hit them with a single poison dart, and the fight would be over pretty quickly. They could set the Spartan shield on fire with a handheld explosive, and the Spartan's main source of defense would be useless. There's no doubt that the Spartans were the undisputed warriors of the ancient world, but ninjas didn't fight fair, and honor doesn't always win. So there we have it, the grand answer to what if a Spartan fought a ninja. The ninja would win. We hope you've enjoyed this video, I certainly have. Let us know in the comment box down below. This has been Life's Biggest Questions. I've been your host, Jack Finch, and until next time, take it easy.